Yeah.
I'm just seeing a number at this point. I'm like, this is the most money I ever had in my life. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I never would have thought I would have hit $1 million. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
that's insane.
just looking at the numbers, like going up and down, up and down. It was crazy. And I felt like I solidified my crypto account. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just hold all the coins that I have and just, you know, just see where it goes in the next 5 years.
Welcome to Straight to the Bag, the show that helps fighters secure financial freedom. So today we have a special guest with us, but cuts me up every 2 to 4 weeks if my business is doing good, but he's not even just a barber. He's like just a dope person. He's doing a lot of things out of love, and I think that's a big thing I want y'all to not miss out on as you're chasing your financial goals or whatever you're trying to accomplish. But go ahead and introduce yourself, bro.
Hey, what's up? My name is Khun Som. I'm a barber. I've been a barber for about 12 years now. It was a passion of mine. Actually, it wasn't a passion of mine.
It wasn't?
Nah, it was, I was just doing it as a hobby more than anything.
Okay.
So like for me, I was just picking up random stuff, and then with hair, I just started to do it more, and then I enjoyed it a lot more, so.
So where are you at now? Like you doing pretty well, or?
Yeah, for me now, I think that hair is like it's kind of like a therapy session for me too, because I get to meet new people every day.
Right.
And build connections. That's like the biggest thing for me.
Okay.
It's like with this profession, like I wasn't a people person at all. Like,
yeah,
very introverted, didn't talk to a lot of people, you know what I mean? Like kept to myself type of thing until like I just started being myself around these people, you know? So after that, I realized that's what I loved about my job.
Yeah.
It wasn't the simple fact that I cut hair. It was more so like building these lifelong connections with everybody, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you're sitting there with hours with some people.
Exactly.
Right?
You know their whole entire lifestyle. You know, you become family with these people. It's kind of crazy, honestly.
So have you, as a barber, have you hit that 6-figure mark? I know that for a lot of entrepreneurs, that's like that first goal, maybe, right?
Right. Yeah. So for me, I was nervous at first, like getting into like the industry, because I just didn't know how much I'd make. You know, I was doing it out of love.
So when you started, you didn't even have a financial goal?
No, I didn't have no financial goal, nothing. I was just doing it just like, man, this is the only thing. I don't want to go back into like the workspace of like working at a warehouse or something like that.
Right, I got you.
So I'm like, this is the only thing I got. So I noticed that I had like a talent for just framing everything together with someone's face. It was like a weird like, thing. So like,
you were like naturally artistic? Or?
Yeah, because I used to like draw and doodle and paint and do all that stuff when I was a kid. Like my brother was a huge influence on that.
Okay.
But yeah.
So I guess let's just start from the beginning.
Right.
Like you're from Columbus, right?
Yeah, from Columbus, born and raised here.
How was life growing up? Easy? Had money?
Bro, nah. We definitely did not have money, man. My dad, so it was 5 of us, and I'm the youngest of 5. So my dad was like a really hard worker, and he provided for the whole entire family, you know? So we was raised like south side of Columbus. Okay. And then I pretty much grew up like kind of in the hood. Yeah. So like the schools I went to was Cobo Elementary, Berry Middle School, and I went to Marion Franklin before I transferred over to Hamilton Township. So that was like a super culture shock for me, because coming from like that demographic going into a different one, I'm like, man. It was the opposite. Yeah, it was the complete opposite. I was like, yo, coming to like a different school, like, you know, it's predominantly all white people. So everybody was really nice. I was like, damn, yo, this is crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
you were waiting to get
like,
jumped.
I was like, hold on. I was like, yo, like it was definitely a culture shock for me. So
when did you start? Did you really like know what you wanted to do growing up, or did you figure that out after high school?
Nah, I kind of figured that after high school, because I was like jumping from like job to job, like doing a bunch of like warehouse stuff. Okay. And then
how much was that paying?
Bro, $8 an hour. If that. Yeah, I don't even know how I survived that. You know what I mean? So for me, I was like, man, I need to figure something out. And then I had like close friends that told me to just pursue something that I enjoyed. So one day I just picked up the clippers and then cut my cousin's hair, and then after that it's been history since.
How old was that? How were you did that?
I was 17, 18 at the time. Yeah. So I'm 29 now, so.
Okay, so that was about what, 10 years ago?
Yeah, about 10 years ago, I would say. I mean, I picked up clippers before, just trimming up myself or like lining myself up, but I never cut on anybody.
Nothing serious.
Yeah.
So Well, after that, you knew right away you wanted to be a barber?
No, I did not.
What happened kind of in between that?
So in between that, I was just trying to figure out if I wanted to go to college for like arts and stuff like that, because I was always artistic,
Right.
and I loved everything with art.
Yeah.
So I was just weighing out like my options and like how much stuff would cost. Like if I go to do a 4-year program in art school, it's going to be expensive as hell. You know what I mean?
Right,
80 grand, 120 grand, whatever the case may be. So I'm like, you know what? My sisters kind of pushed me towards doing hair. They're like, just go to hair school. And then after that, I was like, all right, it's like 25 grand. You know, it's manageable.
How'd you pay for that?
Financial, financial loans and stuff like that. So, or financial aid. So they helped me out a lot with everything, and it was like a half split. Like I'll pay half and they'll pay half type of thing. So I was paying monthly for it, and that's how I got into hair school.
So, why did your sisters tell you that though? Do you think just because they knew you, or just because they knew that it would make good money, or?
I think more so because they knew that it would make good money. They were like, even if you wanted to pursue something else, this could always be a backbone. Like it could always be a cushion for you to like support yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody's always gonna want a haircut, and that's when my barber told me to go to cosmetology school instead of barber school, because so I could be more diverse with hair.
So cosmetology school, for the people that don't know, takes a little bit longer, or is it harder to get?
It's about the same. It's about 1,800 hours, so a solid full year of just going. And you just learn more stuff with like women's hair, nails, and facial like.
So you just like your scope of practice, you can just do more.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So without having like the licensing to like, you know, like barbers, they can't do certain things that we can. But now it's a whole different game now. So,
right.
Because they combine both of those industries together now. So.
Oh, so it's the same.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people were like bashing it a while, like 2 years ago.
Because they had to do all the extra work.
Yeah.
Okay. So you graduate cosmetology school. What's next?
For me, I had to take state boards, and that was like a big thing because I hated taking tests. Granted, I was pretty smart, but it was just like...
You were good in school?
Yeah, I was pretty good at school.
Okay.
And then, I mean, there's a long story behind that, but I was good until like my dad passed away and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I honestly I didn't care about school at all, so...
That was in high school? Or?
Yeah, pretty much going into high school.
Okay.
It was like that, because I was 14 when he passed away, so...
So that was just like super heavy, and you just... didn't really care about much after that.
Nah, I didn't care like to even try a lot harder because he was gone. I was really close to my dad, so.
So how was going through cosmetology school? Was that easy, or was that the same as high school, or harder?
It was easy. I will say that it made my like social skills a lot better, because I had no choice but to talk to clients, and I had no choice but to talk to like the people around me and stuff like that, just to get help from different people. Kind of opened up my eyes to just to be a little bit more open towards like opportunities and stuff like that.
Yeah. So you got through cosmetology school, and then you're about to take state boards, and you were nervous, or?
I was nervous. It took me, I'm not gonna lie, like I was doing like a lot of private appointments. Like I built a solid clientele in school, so I would drive
just from in school.
Yeah, so. Because like nobody wanted to do men's haircuts, so everybody pushed all those haircuts to me.
Wow.
And then I still have some clientele that I still have from school till this day.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, almost 10 years ago. Yeah, it's kind of nuts, honestly.
That is crazy.
So after that, yeah, it took me like 3 months for me to even take my state board exam, because I was like nervous. I was just pushing it off. I'm like, man.
Oh, you just like weren't doing it. Like,
nah,
it's not like you, okay.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know why. I don't know what it was, but I was like, nah, I have all my clients. I could just cut hair on the side. And then I still try to figure out if I wanted to do that full time or not.
Right.
And I think I was doing a little soul searching, so that's kind of where I fell through with that. So.
Okay. So then you pulled the trigger.
Yep, I pulled the trigger.
What happened?
I passed my practical and I failed my written. It was like different portions, because if you missed 25 questions, you pretty much failed.
Right.
So it's like, and there was like 10 questions that they gave you that was like freebies. So I'm like, damn, I'm kind of stupid. Like for real, I was like, damn, I just didn't study. I didn't even study at all. Like nothing. I was like, nah, I could wing this. I'm gonna just go in and do it. And then afterwards, I was like, damn, I failed. I can't get my license. I have to wait a month. So
you gotta wait a month to retake it.
Yeah.
And you got to retake just the written part?
Yeah, just the written part.
Okay.
That was it, which was cool. So I was like, I passed my practical with like a 90 or something like that.
Okay.
So that was easy. And then I went back in and I passed with flying colors. It was really easy. I was like, damn, I should have just studied.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Studied the first time.
Exactly. So I was like, damn, I should have, you know, so.
So right after you get your license, you're just cutting men's hair now? Or?
Yeah. So I was doing a mixture of both. I was cutting men's and women's.
Okay.
And it was more so like the clientele base that I built off of that was just through word of mouth more than anything, because social media wasn't really around.
Wasn't really
as
popping
big.
like that.
Exactly. And I will say that, like, about social media, it did blow up our industry a lot. Like,
you said it did?
Yeah, for sure. It made six figures reachable, a lot more reachable than, you know, grinding for 5-10 years. You know what I mean?
Even for you specifically?
Yes, I will say, even for me specifically, like, because after I finished hair, like, I was still doing a lot of private appointments and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I don't know where I really wanted to work at. So I was like, I'm still making good money. I was still making, like, I mean, it was good for me at the time.
And, like, just cutting hair from your house, or what?
Yeah, cutting hair from my house and just traveling around to, like, different people just to go cut their hair.
So, like, no matter where you're at in life, you can always, like, make some money.
Exactly. So for me, I was like, you know what? It was a numbers game at this point. I'm like, all I need to make is $4,000 a month.
Right.
If I do $1,000 a week, I'm cool with that. At the time, you know, I was like, what, 22 at the time?
Yeah.
So, like, I had to make sure I was doing a certain amount of clientele per week to hit that threshold for me. And
so since you weren't really doing a ton of, like, outreach and, like, advertising and stuff like that, and you built it organically, how did you make sure you hit that number?
Man, what I did was I passed out, like, I made business cards for myself, and I would just go up to random people and I'm like, hey, I'll give you a free cut if you come check me out. You know what I mean?
Dang.
It was like, I would go to the mall, I would go wherever, you know what I mean?
And how many people really cash that out? Like,
so I calculated, I would pass out 100 business cards a month, and I only need 10 people from 100, and usually
to stay consistent.
To stay consistently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I would say, like, the first time I was doing it, I only got like 5, and I'm like, all right, well, that's better than nothing.
But did you do a ton of free cuts?
I did. So, like, the first haircut that I did was always free, that I passed out my business card to. I'm like, yo, just check me out. You know what I mean?
Did you keep track? They had a way of keeping track of who you passed it to and stuff like that, or there was like, when you come see me, show me the card and stuff like that?
Exactly. I would just tell them to show me the card, and they have my number too, so they'll contact me that way.
Oh, okay.
And then next thing you know, I just kind of built my clientele from that. And then after that, I decided to go to Dublin. That's when I went to go to a shop in Dublin. I don't know what pushed me towards that. I think it was more because it was like the luxury side of men's grooming and stuff like that.
So you knew it was just like a nicer area, more money.
Yeah, more money. Granted, you have to hustle a little bit harder because, you know, you start from the bottom. Like,
you were working for someone else at this point?
Yeah, I was working for someone else at this point. So I knew that I was only taking 50% of what I was making home, which is, you know, it's a rough, it's like you have to really, like, grind to hit a certain threshold with that.
Yeah. So how did you make sense of coming from, like, where you're cutting hair at your house or wherever, even at their house, and you're taking 100% of the cut?
Yeah.
Is it going back to like 50% and working at a place?
My biggest thing with that was time management, because I felt like with me, like, cutting at my house or even going around, like, cutting people, like, it took a lot of time. So I'll work 10-12 hours a day, and I'm like, man, I don't really have a lot of time for myself. So with a structured goal for, like, working at a salon, you have that structure. So I needed a little bit more structure in my life at that point.
Okay.
So that's why I went to the shop in Dublin, which is called Modern Male, by the way. They're great.
Okay. So. How much were you charging when you were just doing it by yourself?
I was charging 40. So when people came to my place, I started at 30, and then I will say that when I was traveling to people's places, I was charging $50 a haircut. So I'm like, just because of time, and then the time for me to go there, and obviously gas. So like, I applied all that together, and then they're like, yo, they were cool with that. Had a lot of clients that were fine with that.
Dang, that's
crazy. It's kind of surprising.
That was kind of high, right?
Yeah, it was definitely high. I would say this was back in what, 2013, 2014?
Yeah, before people were really like
catching on to like the like, you know, men's grooming and stuff like that. People wanted to look good for themselves, wanted to feel better, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So how did you have trouble asking that price to people, or?
At first, yes, it was really hard. I'm like, man, that's kind of expensive, even for me. Like, I was thinking at it from, like, you know, the other side. I'm like, it's kind of pricey, but they're willing to pay because they like the convenience and they like the time that they, you know, we always talked about random stuff. So it's just, like I said, it comes back to building that connection with those people.
Oh, okay.
So that's how it happened.
So you're like charging 30. I know like when girls go get their nails done, they don't even know what the price is sometimes until they leave. And that's like a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like for you, you just told them up front, this is what it is. And
Yep.
okay.
And that's excluding tips and stuff like that. So.
Right. So how much were they charging at the salon you're working at in Dublin?
So the first like 6 months, I was charging $38 for a haircut.
Okay, and the prices were set by you, or they were?
Nah, it was set by them.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, well, I have to like grind to like build my clientele there. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it was weird. Like it was just a different, demographic. So I didn't know how I'd fit in that like area.
Yeah.
And then honestly, I was just being myself, and everyone loved it. So I just built this crazy clientele base out there, and then it took a year. So like the first year, I only made like 45,000. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
And it wasn't really that much, so I was still grinding.
But
on the
how
side.
many days were you working?
I was working only 5 days a week. So 5 days a week,
okay.
40 hours a day, or 40 hours a week.
That's not bad. Yeah.
But I was still grinding on the side. I still had my side clients that I went to.
Oh, okay. So you were just filling your time up.
Exactly. So I would say that year, like even from the side money that I made, probably roughly close to 70,000 that I made total. So then after that, I noticed that it was like a numbers game after that. I'm like, man, I have to have this amount of clientele for me to hit this number. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then after that, I just started hustling more. And I remember the second year working at the place in Dublin, I'm like, shit, I'm like hitting almost close to 70,000. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like base.
Yeah, base. Yeah.
Okay. So
like,
that was when you were working at the salon, that was your second year after you got your license, or was that the first year?
that was the second year after I got my license.
Second year. So the whole first year you were just doing it solo, trying to like just run it yourself.
Yep.
Okay. So then you work for them. So between all that experience, like where did you feel like what helped you the most just building your clientele and stuff?
I'm not gonna lie, like the owner of that shop, granted, there were some things that that we did disagree on, but she was actually a really good like mentor, to be honest. She did help me pave a way for me to charge the price that I charge.
Okay.
Just for like the services that I provided, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she just kind of showed me like the way, like, hey, if you do it like this and you make them feel good, give them a hot towel, you do everything that you can to make them feel great about themselves, they're willing to pay whatever.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
she said that it's not about the price, it's about what you give them.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then after that, I took that into account. I'm like, all right. So next thing you know, we upped my price to $45. 45. Is it $45 or $48? It wasn't $50 yet.
Yeah.
And then I realized, I'm like, damn, I'm actually making a lot more, So I would say the third or fourth year working in there, I was making close to probably 80.
Dang.
80 or 90.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm under the impression that barbers are just like constantly grinding for like, I mean, I guess because it's so close to the nail industry, and I know a lot of nail techs, and that's just how it is. They'll be working like 6 days a week, like sometimes 10 to 7 or 8 or 9 o'clock. And a lot of them aren't even breaking 50 a year.
Damn, that's crazy. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, unless you're like doing really good with clientele, but I guess were you just super intentional about it?
Yeah, I was really like, I made
like,
everything.
I'm trying to build clientele, that's it.
Exactly. And then like when I was doing that, like I told you, it just comes back into like building connections. I'd have these people see me weekly, every 2 weeks, and I'm like, man, I'm cutting about 350 people a month. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that is a lot of people.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah. So you're doing what, like 30-minute haircuts? Or?
Yeah, it was 30-minute haircuts. So like, it was crazy. Since she knew how fast I was and how good I was, we would do like, sometimes I'd fit 3 people in an hour.
That's crazy.
It was a lot. Like, bro, every single day I was doing at least 16 to 18 haircuts a day.
That is insane. What's average?
So average, I would say right now, average there was like 8 to 10. So I was doing like double of that.
Okay.
So I'm like, that's the only way I can make 6 figures.
How did you feel like you could take the time down without like giving up value or making them feel like they got rushed out the chair? Like,
so with me there, it was crazy. Like I told you, like we built this connection, and they knew that I was about like obviously business and stuff like that, and they understood everything. And the thing too, you have to understand from like the opposite way is that their time is valuable also. So I'm like, okay. I don't want to push that limit to where it's over 45 minutes or less than 30 minutes. So we always had to hit about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Because I valued their time also. I'm like, I don't know if they have appointments elsewhere too.
Right.
So that was the biggest thing for me was, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't even think right now.
It's cool. So I guess just doing these 20, 30-minute haircuts, and then this is year 3, right? Year 3 after your license.
Yeah, year 3 after my license.
So what's year 4 looking like?
Year 4, I realized that for me to hit 6 figures, I had to value my time a little bit more and try to manage everything for myself. And with that, I told her, I was like, I wanted to up my prices to $50. So even that extra $2, it gave me a little bit of boost. You know what I mean? Because they're obviously going to tip more.
Yeah, yeah.
And at first, there was a few clients that were questioning that, but then they realized when they went to someone else that they weren't getting the same services from them as me. And I was still within that 30-minute time frame. I still gave them everything that they needed. A great cut. And granted, you're not doing the craziest haircuts in Dublin because it's pretty simple, you know, light taper on the sides, light taper on the back. But the grow out process is the biggest thing about hair. So as long as it grew out nice, they were coming back.
Oh, I see what you mean. So like, because some people can only get their hair cut and they might want to get it cut every week because it grows out and it looks crazy.
Exactly. Already. So like, it comes with all that. Like, so for me, how I cut hair is that I'd rather have longevity within the haircut. Like, granted, you can always get a fade on the sides, but like for different type of textures, you have to make sure everything laid correctly with like the way their hair moves or like the way their hair shifted with their cowlicks and stuff like that. So everything relied on framing, and then that's kind of how I cut. And then they enjoyed it a lot, so they just kept coming back, and then they brought me more clientele, and that's kind of how
it just spread exponentially.
Exactly.
Did you spend a lot of time studying that stuff like outside of school?
Yes. So what I did was I went on YouTube, and there was a good amount of barbers on there that I actually liked watching because they're really, really good at like just men's grooming and just fading or just framing the hair in general. Right. So I decided to go to this class out in Miami. This was back in 2017. The academy was called Menspire, and I did a 3-day course with them, and it was great. They taught me a lot. Everything was about precision, timing, framing, and making the overall haircut just look flawless on that person's face. So everything matters, jawline, all that. Yeah. So
when was that?
This was back in February, like 17th, 2017.
So when you first got your license?
No, because I got my license back in 2013.
2013, okay.
Yeah.
So this is around year 4.
Yeah, this is around year 4. And okay. That snapped a fire inside of me that I wanted to be better than where I was at. Because I never thought that I was the best. I thought I was really good, but I was like, I need to hit other thresholds for me, you know. I can always keep improving, you know what I mean? That was the biggest thing that I took away from that. I'm like, man, there's so many talented people in this world that I just want to keep learning from them because there's so much more of that. It's not just a haircut, you know what I mean? Right.
So how much was that? It was like a seminar?
Yeah, it was like a seminar. So it was like $1,000.
Okay. So this was after you're charging 50?
Yeah, this was after I was charging 50.
Okay. And you felt a big change when you came back and started cutting again?
Yeah, I felt a huge change. I wanted to do more on social media, and that's when I started like posting all my stuff on Instagram, started doing a bunch of tags, and then I brought like a whole different client base to Dublin. Like there was people that was coming from New Albany, the Short North, Powell area, Canal Winchester. So
like this is when people started really traveling for you.
Yeah, so I was like, damn, I didn't know I could have that effect. And I'm like, damn, let me just start posting more haircuts, let me do this, post more videos. Next thing you know, I'm like, damn, I'm cutting 400 people a month. Yeah. And at that point, I'm like, damn, I'm already making 6 figures. You know what I mean? Yeah. So in year 4, I'm making what, 110,000 that year. Dang. And I didn't realize it was that much until I looked at how much I was spending. I was like, I never had this much money in my life. You know what I mean? And that was like prior to like investing, and like I had an IRA and stuff like that. Yeah. But I didn't start investing until like later on. You know what I mean?
Okay. So when you year 4 you hit 6 figures, right? Yeah. So did it feel like 6 figures?
It did not. 6 figures, it was weird. Like it did, but it didn't, because I was spending a lot. And because I never, like I told you, I just never had that much money. I was what, 26, 25,
that's
26?
Good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, so I was just spending a lot of money. I'm like, man, this is crazy. I was traveling, I was doing whatever I wanted. I just never had that lifestyle before. And then I had to take a step back. and then like reevaluate some things.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, yeah, definitely when you're making that amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have a plan after that.
Exactly.
All right, so year 4, you hit that 110 a year and spending money, but how do you get it under check?
No, what do you mean?
Like, how did you start figuring out how to manage that money?
I started recording all my bank statements. I had a book that I wrote everything in. I'm like, I need to cut back on this, and this, because instead of only saving 20 grand a year, I'm like, I'm making 110,000. I need to at least save 40. You know what I mean?
How did you come up with that number?
Because
just like based off your expenses?
Yeah, just based off of all my expenses that I had. I'm like, yeah, it was just way too much, and I'm like, I shouldn't be living like this, you know. So I had to cut back on a lot of stuff. Certain situations happened. Got a car, pretty much just living under my means more than anything, and that made me realize like I don't really have to live this flashy or buy all this designer stuff for myself. You know what I mean? So like I cut back on a lot of stuff, and I just built like a separate like account just to throw money in. So
okay, was that hard? Because you went up, like your expenses went up with you, but then you had to take your lifestyle back down. Like
it was hard. I will say like eating out was the biggest thing. Like I ate out every single day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
That's like your vice.
Yeah, bro. Just don't do that. Don't do that. Don't buy coffee every day. Like, dude,
that's still some of ours, but yeah.
Like, bro, like spending $5,000 a year at Starbucks was
5,000.
Yeah, bro, it was bad because Starbucks is right there. So I'm like, sometimes I'll get it twice a day, you know. So
yeah, now it's part of the routine.
Yeah, it was like it was a set routine. I'm like, I have to get it, and that was the thing. Mentally, I'm like, yo, I gotta step back from that, make some coffee at home, get some nice ground beans, and just do it that way. Yeah. So just shifting a lot of stuff. So
okay, so you figured out you wanted to just live on 60 a year.
Yeah.
And you wanted to save 40.
Exactly.
What are you doing with that 40? Just leaving that bank account?
Yeah. So I didn't get into like stocks or investments or even crypto per se until like the year 2019-ish. That's when I started to get into it a lot more. And so all the money that I was saving in the 2 years, I saved 75,000 or 80 grand or something like that, and I just had it set to the side. Like I didn't do anything with that money. That was
just you saved up over 200.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Dang. So I wouldn't say over 200. It was a little bit less than that.
Okay.
So I had that on the side. I'm like, man, I need to figure out what to do with this.
So what do you do when you're at that point and you didn't know anything about investing?
No, I had no idea. So what I did was I looked up a lot of YouTube videos and just kind of understanding what stocks was and what crypto was, and then like having a Roth IRA and stuff like that, starting to understand like work less in the future, you know what I mean?
I see what you mean. So setting up that retirement plan.
Exactly. And I'm like, what age do I want to retire? So I'm like, I have to set up something by the age of 45.
That was your number?
Yeah, it's 45.
Okay.
I'm like, I want to retire at 45. Because I don't mind working for a while, but it did give me a bigger perspective on like what I wanted to do aside from just cutting hair, you know?
Right.
So it opened up my eyes to a lot, like the bigger picture, I guess. So for me.
So what was the first investment? Do you remember?
The first investment was on Tesla. I dropped 10,000 into Tesla. Yeah.
Dang.
I'm trying to think how much did it cost at that point. I think it was $400 a share, $400 or $500 a share.
You know what's that now?
So they did a split. So it did go up to 2,000. It was like 2,000 before Tesla did their split, and then I still had a decent amount of shares in there, and they did their split, and then it dropped down to like 350. I bought more at that point. So I bought more Tesla shares, and now I think it's sitting at roughly 800. I haven't checked. I really don't check my stock account anymore. I felt like I solidified like certain stocks that I invested in. Yeah. So I'm not constantly day trading like I used to because I lost a lot of money doing that. I'll take that back. I lost a lot of money doing options. It's kind of like betting.
Okay. So trading was that. So you started putting money in, and then you started trading. So for the people that don't know, what is trading? Like
trading is like you're investing into like different stocks that you believe in, and you don't even have to necessarily believe in it because now everything goes, bro. Like anything can run a stock. It could be with social media, it could be a meme, it could be anything, you know what I mean? So investing into the right stocks for long-term wise, that's what I believed in. So like with Tesla's one. I still have like Neo. I have some airline stocks that I have, some cruise stocks that I still have, and then I have a few Amazon stocks still. So
So that investing is more like investing in that company and holding it long term.
Exactly.
And trading is like
and it's
just transactions, like buying, selling.
Yeah, buying, selling, and looking at the numbers constantly. Like you have to get a like pre-market wise. So there's like a pre-market before like everything kind of starts moving, but a lot of action typically goes on in the pre-market. So like I was waking up with my boy, actually his name is Sam, and we'd wake up at 4 a.m. and just looking at the numbers that we'd trade, because you could easily make $1,000 within 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
It was nuts. So like that opened up my eyes. I'm like, do I want to do this full time, or what do I want to do? And the only time I was allowed to trade for me, because my profession was at 4 a.m. So
how did you not get too caught up in that, or did you?
I did get caught up in that.
Okay.
It was pretty bad, because like I was barely getting any sleep. I'm like, man, I'm constantly like trying to learn more things about stocks and trading and all this stuff. I was constantly watching YouTube videos and staying up and trying to figure everything out. And then finding this pattern, like there's a pattern when people buy, sell, and trade. So you're like, you have to catch it at the right moment. And you have to just be aware. You kind of have to constantly be on your phone, computer, whatever the case may be, and just learning. And you do make a lot of mistakes during that time period that you're, selling and trading and stuff like that. Like, I lost, I think, like 30 grand just selling, like buying option calls and stuff like that, because I held too long. That was my mistake. And then I'm like, nah, it'll like go past this point, because I made like a call for like, say you made a call for like $3.15, and if it goes above that, and depending on how many contracts you have within that call that or that option that you made, you can make a lot of money, So for me, I'm like, nah, it's gonna go past this point, because I'm trying to double it. So I'm trying to make. I had 10 contracts with this one company, and I was up like 40, 50 grand. And I'm like, nah, I think, because my contract didn't end until the next week, I'm like, I think it's going to go past this point. So what a lot of people don't know is that it's like high risk, high reward. Yeah. And if you don't pull out at the right time, you'll lose all that. You'll lose everything.
Dang. So what are options? I guess just a quick breakdown of what options really are for people that don't know.
So options is pretty much you're placing a bet. It's kind of like a bet. I would say it's like a bet. It's pretty much a bet. So you're placing like a bet on when this stock will hit a certain number. So if it hits a number, so say if the stock is below, let's give the magic number $3. Yeah. So you buy that contract for 86 cents or something like that, right? Okay. So because you get 100 shares of like
so instead of just buying one traditional stock, you're buying 100 shares of that stock. Okay. And you're buying it at a lower price?
You're buying it at a lower price. And you're buying it at this point. So if it goes past the number that you caught it at, which is $3, right? You'll make money. So it was that number times 100 shares. That's how much you typically will make for one contract. And then if it goes below the number that you called for, you lose everything.
Dang. Yeah. Okay.
So that's how
I see what
options
you mean.
work.
Okay. So then you lost what? You said 30?
Yeah, 30K.
Dang, that's heavy.
It was heavy.
So what happened after that? You decided to keep going, or you just left it alone after that?
I left it alone after that. I'm gonna take a step back onto crypto per se, because I did invest a lot of money into crypto also.
At the same time?
Yeah. So this was 2020, March 2020, when like the whole pandemic happened.
That's when you first started investing?
Yeah, that's when I first started investing into crypto. Okay. And there was a buddy named Brett. He told us to invest into like a bunch of different cryptos and stuff like that. He helped us along the way. And at that point, that's when I seen Bitcoin for 3,800. And that was the lowest I ever seen Bitcoin. I'm like, you know what? Let me dabble into this. I know what Bitcoin is. You can do a lot of stuff with Bitcoin and stuff. Right. Buy stuff on the black market, whatever the case may be. Right. So I'm like, all right. So it was at 20,000, a year, 2 years ago. This is the lowest it's ever been. Let me buy at least five Bitcoins at the time. So I spent 5 times 3, that's 20 something. Is that 5, 10, whatever the case.
Yeah, like 150 something.
Yeah, 100 and whatever. So it was like 3,800 times 5, and that's how much I invested into that. Okay. And I held. I'm like, I'm gonna hold onto this for a while because it's the cheapest it's been. And then a month later, it went up to like 8 grand. I'm like, oh my God, should I sell? Dang. Like, what do I do? And I was contacting some people.
Almost you over doubled your money.
Exactly. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. Should I just swing this? And swing trading is like trading it weekly. You wait for a certain price point to go lower to buy back in. To
and
sell.
So like so that's like a perfect opportunity because it's like up. before it drops. And
exactly.
You wanted to.
And I was like, you know what? I talked to another buddy that was into like, crypto and stuff like that. He said, bro, just hold this for a while. Just it'll be the best thing that you can do. So I'm like, all right. So I never touched my Bitcoin. And then after that, I got into this coin. It's called Voyager. It was it's an app-based like token that they use to support their app. Okay. It's called VGX, and at that time, I invested $5,000 into Voyager at the time, and I bought in at 2 pennies, and I think that roughly gave me, I want to say it gave me about 80,000 tokens, 80 or 90,000 tokens at the time or something like that.
Because it's only 2 cents per
exactly.
token. Okay.
And I'm like, man, this isn't really doing anything. And it was like going up and down. It was like 5 pennies, 2 pennies, 5 pennies. I'm like, I'm gonna just hold it to the end of the year and see where it's at. Yeah. And then that's when I noticed it was a month of February. I held this token for a certain amount of time, and it went up to $7.
What? Yeah. From 2 cents to
$7? From $7. I sold 50,000 tokens. Yeah. And I made what, 350,000 off of this token.
So you still held on to some of it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I still have like a decent amount of tokens left. Let's just say that.
So people were telling you how to do this stuff, or like how did you know to just sell a percentage of it and not the whole thing or stuff like that?
Just because I did research on that token myself, and we had a whole group of people that was invested into this token also, and everyone was like celebrating, like people were crying, people like bought a house, like it was crazy. That's crazy stuff. Because a lot of people made a lot of money off of it, and I know a few people that made over millions from just specific tokens because they listen to me, and I'm like, this is what I invested in. So it was crazy. It was a crazy time. And then the money that I profited from that, I didn't even cash any of that out because I didn't have my crypto account over a year because I didn't know what taxes were for it. So for me, what I did was I just shifted a lot of my money into different tokens. I'm like, you know what, this is kind of crazy. Let me just research a little bit more different like type of tokens and stuff like that that's out there, or even coins. Yeah. So like I diversified my portfolio and then.
So you took all that profit and just kept
pushing it out. Yep. I bought a lot of Ethereum at like $700 a piece.
Dang, it's way higher than that.
It's $4,200. Yeah, bro. It's nuts. It's actually insane.
Crazy, bro. What? Okay.
Yeah, so I did that, and then all these other coins made me crazy numbers. I'm like, at the end of the day, I look at it, I'm like, it's mine, but it's weird because it's not like in my bank account.
Because it's not in your bank account. And
exactly.
You can't like use it as fast as cash.
Exactly. And the transfer rate, it takes a little bit longer for you to transfer it over and stuff like that. So I'm like, I'm just seeing a number at this point. I'm like, this is the most money I ever had in my life. You know what I mean? Like, I never would have thought I would have hit $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm like,
that's insane.
Just looking at the numbers, so like going up and down. It was crazy. And I felt like I solidified my crypto account. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just hold all the coins that I have and just see where it goes in the next 5 years. That's what I give myself.
So you're not touching it. It's strictly staying there to grow.
Yes, specific tokens.
Okay.
Like meme coins, yes. I'm a pump and dump. That's what I do. Like I'll just buy it at a low price. If it goes to a certain number, I'm selling.
And that's just like similar to trading, right?
Yeah, similar to trading. Just a pump and dump. You just invest a lot of money into it, or you invest a decent amount of money into it, and once it goes on this crazy run, even if it's 100%, 200%, I would sell personally, but it could potentially go higher. So like, say if it hits 1,000%, a lot of people get in that rush, like, you know, I should just keep holding. What if it goes to this, or this?
What would you say to that person?
Sell. Okay. I would say sell and then buy in at a lower price because it's always going to come back down. Yeah. And it always happens. You see this repetition of like these coins typically happening. Like it'll shoot up to a really high price point and then it'll always fall back down. Always crashes.
Obviously not financial advice, but
yeah, not financial advice at all. This is just something I did for me. And
and that's how you got to where you were?
Exactly.
Okay. So, dang, that's wild. So, do you know what the taxes are like for that? Like how you get taxed on that, or?
See, I still don't know. I feel like they charge you a capital gain for it, like stocks, so like 20%. But they still haven't released a lot of information on how they will tax us on like crypto and stuff like that.
Because they're not 100% sure yet.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I haven't done too much more. Like I haven't looked into it a little bit more. I should, but I just haven't. I haven't had the time, honestly. I've just been holding all my coins.
Yeah, I got you. So
money now, you're still investing in crypto
Yes.
over stocks?
I don't invest in the stocks anymore. I
You
just
don't invest anything in stocks?
anything, because like I told you, that last time I lost all that money, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna take a break from stocks.
Not even like ETFs or anything like that?
Nope, haven't invested in any ETFs. I'm probably gonna get into it though. I have been getting into like NFTs, so
Okay.
I'm
Do you
like
think
really
that-
into NFTs.
You think it's safer to go ETF route, stock route versus like crypto NFT route?
I think that is a safer bet for sure. I definitely do think so. But I will say this, like with crypto and how the world is like kind of shifting, I feel like it's definitely here to stay, and it's going to be the
past
future.
the point of like
Yeah.
any speculation.
Exactly. I don't think for people that doesn't think that it will stay, they're stupid, honestly. Because just with technology and everything, and how everything is working now, you have to understand that from a different perspective. Like, this is what the world is shifting to. They're creating all these robots. They're creating a lot of manually things that humans don't want to do. Like, you never know. Like, you could go into a McDonald's and everything is ran by robots. That's how Japan is.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's how like a lot of stores in Asia are like that, right? You can go in and just know there's just cameras, and they just track what you take in and out of the store and stuff.
Granted, it's a scary thing, a scary world to live in, but you can't stop it. I mean, we're just
Right. So just adjust with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's never too late to invest. That's what I'll give.
Okay. So, quick question: what would you do if you had like, let's say you had 5K,
Right.
invest like saved up? Would you go that crypto route, or would you go the stock route? And this is like the only thing you have is 5K.
I would personally see me looking back at it now, because you can make a lot of money doing stocks. You just have to have a lot of time on your hands, because you have to watch the markets constantly.
So it's like a job.
Yeah, it's like a job. And just learn everything. It's going to be a lot of trial and error. The safest route, I will say, do stocks for sure. Like, go down the stock route. Just learn from that. Crypto is a little bit more on the riskier side, because it's like money that could easily be lost depending on what you invest in. You know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I will say try stocks out first, and then if you have like money that you don't care about, invest into crypto. That's how I look at it.
Okay. And crypto, are you like holding it in these apps like Voyager and Coinbase and stuff?
Yeah, so I have a MetaMask, I have a Voyager account, I have a Coinbase Pro account, and that's where all my crypto are being held.
What is MetaMask?
It's like, so it's pretty much a virtual wallet that you could hold certain coins in. You could even buy and trade coins in there also, I believe.
Okay.
But I use that specifically for staking coins. It's like holding coins.
Okay.
And just builds interest over time with a few different coins that I have in there.
And it's safe to hold it all in these apps. Okay.
Oh yeah, I would say so. I mean, there's a lot of different like authentications that you have to go through for you to hold all this stuff. So I think it's safe. And then like for like my bigger coins, I hold it on a ledger, because I think for me that's the safest, because I know what's in this USB.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
What is a ledger for?
So a ledger is pretty much like a USB drive, but it's encrypted with different codes that you have to access for you to access all your coins.
And you can just buy these ledgers?
Yeah, you can buy it. It's like $200 for like a little tiny USB drive.
Okay.
You have to order it online. It took like a month for me to get mine, but I hold my bigger coins in there, like my solidified coins like Ethereum and Bitcoin.
So you just log into wherever you have it on your
so you
desktop or your laptop?
Yeah, you just plug it in, log in, and then you have to make sure you get those codes right. And you can set like, if you want it to self-destruct or whatever the case may be.
Okay, since someone else gets it or steals it.
Exactly.
Okay, dang, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
Man, that's so dope though, because I think a lot of people don't even realize like people our age are at this level already, and a lot of people, like you would say, are at this level.
Oh yeah, I feel like a lot of the younger generation is catching on to like you don't necessarily have to work for people anymore, and that's why I mean there's shortage of workers everywhere.
Yeah, there's literally help wanted signs everywhere.
And now it's like the time that you could honestly just be your own boss. You could do anything now, dude. You can sell whatever you want to do. I mean, you could do anything. You can make a profit from even doing this. You know what I mean?
Right.
like there's so many like valuable access to like information out there now with the internet, you know. Even with like TikTok, like all these kids are like hopping on trends, they're getting sponsorships, they're doing all this stuff, and they don't have to work for anybody, they're just working for themselves and having fun. So I think now's the time to like just push for like your dreams that you want to achieve and stuff like that. I think anything's possible as long as you put your mind into it and give it 100%, because at the end of the day, the only person that's holding you back is yourself.
Right, and that's real.
Yeah.
So what would you say to, I guess 18-year-old you, like you that didn't really know what they wanted to do and hears about all this stuff and they're like all these options to choose and they're like, yeah, maybe I want to go stocks and crypto or all this stuff, like, but they're not really making the money yet. Like, what would you say?
I would say live with your parents as long as you can.
Like that.
And just build from that. All the money that you're saving, invest into something that you believe in, you know, whatever the case may be. Save up 20 grand if you want to invest into like some type of a garage for like painting or whatever the case may be. I think that is a really safer route for you to take, because it's something that you're living for, you know. It's your dreams. Like the only person that can change it is you. And for me, I'm like, try everything. That's the biggest thing.
Even if it
fails. Even if you're afraid of failure, like you have to try it, because at the end of the day, you just don't know what other doors can open up, you know, from not trying what you believed in at that point.
Oh, so you're saying like maybe like you try that one thing, but it doesn't work out, but you have some network or connection that help you jump into what you really want to do.
Yeah, and like me, my 18-year-old self, I was afraid to try anything.
Really?
Like, I was like, nah, that's not for me. I'm not gonna do that. But now I'm like, dude, I felt like I held myself back from not trying all these other stuff, because now I feel like I enjoy so much more things. Like, and I noticed for myself, it's like whatever it is, as long as you really enjoy it and like it and put your mind into it, you can be great at it, man. Honestly, like it could be dancing, it could be like mixing, for instance, or like DJing and stuff like that. All those stuff came around like after, and I realized I'm actually pretty decent at it. I'm like, man, if I put all this time into it before, I could have been like a great DJ by now. You know what I mean? Like I could have made all these tracks, did all this stuff, as long as I put my mind into it, like how I did hair.
And you think all that stuff has potential to make a livable income and find financial freedom, all that?
Yeah, I think so, because you just have to find a niche in the market. It's like with anything, you just have to find that niche. Doesn't matter what it is. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You have to be yourself, be unique, have a sound for certain things, and once you find that, I think anything's like honestly possible. It takes one song, bro, for you to blow up. It's crazy.
I believe it, man. That's dope. Well, I appreciate your time. So obviously the show is straight to the bag, but a lot of people think about money and getting caught up in the finances and making more money. But I want y'all to take what you learned today from Khun's story and kind of see where you're at, and see how you can take what he's done and implement in your life and go straight to the bag and get to work, not just chase the money. So, all right, bro. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you, bro.